Peace, y'all. Peace, 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 love, and blessings to each and every one of you. Welcome and welcome back to
Yes.
Redefining Authenticity. My name is Sheronda L. Barksdale, your spiritual life empowerment coach over at Authentically Your Expressions, where we're helping you live your most authentic life.
Yes, and peace and blessings, y'all. It's Kim Martin Raymond, your toolbox essentialist and founder of Redefining You LLC, where I help my clients to realign themselves, mind, body, and spirit, and also home of the what? 365-day challenge, where we are on day 181. Start
Period.
the process. Oh my
Period.
God, we still here.
We still here. We still here.
We
That's the
still
beautiful
here.
part. We still here. Attack.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
Okay.
grateful. I'm grateful.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's hot. That's all I'm gonna say. It's hot.
Miserably
I
hot.
feel like I'm glistening. I'm
I'm
like
like,
looking
I
from
don't
under the
remember it
portable
being
fan.
July and August. I remember the heat being ridiculous. June,
It's playing
what?
with it.
What is this playing with us? I'm like 100-degree weather already.
Right. Right.
It's making me
Everywhere
miserable.
across the country. I've been traveling. I just got back. And it's
See,
hot here. It was hot there. Here hot, there hot, everywhere hot, hot. Everywhere I go is hot. I'm tired of it.
but guess
Okay.
what? We here, y'all. We here.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Oh,
we're back to deux, part two of the art of self-discipline. Last week's show was just bomb, Kim.
it was.
I really enjoy talking about this because a lot of us need this. We need a little more encouragement in how to discipline ourselves. Because I think we have more complaints than solutions sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And if we were real with ourselves, it's because we're not disciplined enough. Well, we're not seeing the results that we want.
That's it.
So, what you think
Self-regulation.
about that?
It is self-regulation all day long. We have to learn to self-regulate. We have to learn to know ourselves enough to know what our triggers are and what things are going to push our buttons. And when we get to that point, how do we deal with it? You know, we have to be able to get to that space.
Yes, 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 yes.
And what is our favorite thing to say? We have to get to that space of doing what? We have to cope. And cope
Creating
stands
our
for what?
peaceful existence, creating our peace, because that's a big one for me, Kim. Some of the lack of discipline only comes from not coping appropriately, and that's the realist. The only times I find myself spinning out of control is because I'm using other things to cope with something, while there's
Mhm.
healthier ways to do it. So I'm
Right.
glad we're having this conversation.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
All right, let's get it cracking. Hold on a minute. Let me pull it up there. The art of self-discipline part there. All right.
Do you want to read the quote?
Oh, let me go back. I apologize. Okay, the quote says self-discipline is often disguised as short-term pain,
Yeah.
which often leads to I think to long-term gains. It says the mistake many of us make is the need and want for short-term gain is for short-term gain,
Yeah.
immediate
Yeah.
gratification, which often
Gratification.
leads to long-term pain. And that's by
Yes.
Charles F. Glassman.
Yes.
Always
That's
wait for that
the,
quick
uh,
fix.
the quick fix.
Yep.
And I fix it real quick, and it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
It
No,
doesn't
it
work.
doesn't. Okay, just like the microwave burn stuff, so do quick fixes.
So do quick fixes.
Get burned. All right.
Yes.
All right, my dear. Let's get into it.
All right. So the first one we're going to talk about is your changing your perception of hard work. That's a big one because
Yes.
a lot of us become bitter and angry about the idea of having to work too hard. And I intentionally made sure that there were people running because I'm like, running? That's some bullshit. In my mind sometimes the running thing was like, but that's when I lost the most weight. And that's the truth. When I did jogging on a treadmill or something like that, I didn't like running on the road. It just wasn't as
Mhm.
comfortable. But getting on a treadmill and jogging, I lost everything, like full body workout.
Mhm.
So you have to change your perception of what is hard work. And it
Right.
says practice find, look at them smiling. Practice
That's right.
finding enjoyment in hard work. When you link effort with success and positive outcomes, it helps to give you more energy to work hard? Kim, I know you can talk about this all day.
Child, yes, I can all day long because you know that I'm big into strength training and I'm big into, looking at my body. When you take time to look at your body and you start doing that weight training and you start seeing the definition, I've noticed the definition in my neck. I noticed the
Yeah.
definition in my shoulders, in my arms, in my forearms, everything. And that makes me want to work harder. It's like, okay, now this is getting too easy. Let me go ahead and pick up a heavier weight because now when I do that, because now I'm seeing the definition. When I work out, I feel the tone in my abs. I feel
Yes.
all of that. And so when you associate, what the outcome is going to be, then you're going to find joy in doing it because now I'm like, okay, I want to get that tone in there. I want to get them Obama arms before the summer hits. So
Okay,
I'm like,
you see a
okay.
first lady. You see how the arms look when she would wear those sleeveless tops.
Okay, don't make me because don't make me put the guns out. I'm gonna leave them. I'm
Pull
gonna
the
leave them.
guns out, Kim. Give them the guns. Give them the
I
guns.
was, I wasn't trying to get y'all none of that. This right here, none of this right here, right there. Huh? Okay.
I can
Okay.
fan you. I can fan you with mine.
Oh.
Don't you need some breeze? I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
But that's the thing. Like you said, it's about finding enjoyment in everything. I think it's because society has conditioned us that now we could just hop on social media and we can get things quick and fast, and it doesn't require hard work, but it does. Even people who are posting, getting up and posting 181 days into this 365-day challenge, posting every doggone day. It's not easy work. It's hard work because I travel and there are other things that I'm doing, so to find the time and to be able to do it, but to also be up there and to be able to smile about it.
Yes.
Because it's hard work, but I enjoy what I do. That's why it's important that you enjoy what it is that you do, because even though it's hard work, it's still gratifying.
Exactly. I was just about to go there, Kim, because my thought, because there's many things we could list that's considered hard work, right? But
Correct.
one of the things one of my friends brought to my attention was paying bills. Something as simple as paying a bill. Sometimes you'd be like,
Right.
Wait, I started finding enjoyment in it.
Mhm.
My friend was like, fine, enjoy. Like, I'm so grateful I can actually take care of this bill. I have the money. I mean, I have nothing left when I'm done, but
Okay.
I have the ability to take care of all of my needs that I have right now and to
Right.
find joy. And guess what that joy promotes? Gratitude.
Right.
When Kim said gratifying, it's the gratitude. You become more thankful. And the
That's
more
right.
thankful you are, the more you attract things to be grateful for. Your
Amen.
perception completely shifts when you go to the gym and say, yeah, it took me a minute to get here, but man, look at this body I'm about to get. When you do
Right.
different things, if I go ahead and study for this exam, I'm actually going to get the A. We don't want to do hard work, but we want the outcome.
Right.
We want to have the fine ass body. We want to have the money that we make. We want to have the results, but we don't want to put in the effort.
We want to take the shortcut.
We want to take the shortcut. I was about to cuss, a big cuss that time. I cuss all the time. This is going to be a big one. But I'm going to say, motherfucker, go ahead and do the hard work because you're already excited about the outcome.
Right.
You are already excited about the business that's going to start. You're already excited about the weight you're going to lose. You're already excited about the health benefits, the financial benefits, the love benefits. Just do the hard work and you get what you want.
That's it. That's it. And then once you're there, you can coast for a little bit.
Because you're used to, because now you've created what you say all the time, a habit.
A habit.
Now you've created a habit.
That's it. And when you fall off a little bit, guess what? It's a little easier to get back on. It's easier to get back on because you've done the hard work. You know what it takes. And so now from that point, you can begin to press. Then, like I said, it becomes a habit, it becomes second nature.
It's second nature.
Yeah.
Is what it is now. Make sure if y'all are in the room, say hi, say hello, say sup niggas, say something. Just let us know where you are, who you are, so we can shout you out real quick.
You can say what's up, sis. But yeah.
Yeah, when it comes to self-discipline,
that's it.
You have to change your perception of hard work so that you can enjoy the process, not just the outcome. Find yourself enjoying the process.
That's right. All right, let's move on. The next thing when it comes to the art of discipline is finding trusted mentors. Connect with supportive people who can provide honest, constructive feedback to help hold you accountable. Okay. The key word there is trusted. Okay. Because there are some people who will try to be your mentor and you haven't asked them to be. And I speak from experience. I had a friend who ghosted me. To be honest, she ghosted me. Because I would share things that I was doing, with some the programs or things I was working on. Well, I think you should do this, and I'm not quite sure if that's going to work, and that and I was just like, okay, well, you know, I, I can take constructive criticism, but
Right.
it was more, well, you need to do this and you should do this and you should do that. And I couldn't call her a mentor because she was a person who was struggling to find employment and trying to find things. And so she was all over me about the things that I was doing. And I was like, okay, so what are you doing as well? So it just got to be a little bit much. You want the person who is coming, who is working for you, don't want them to be praying against you. And you have those people who, you think are praying for you and they're not. So you have to make sure that the person that is your mentor is somebody who has experience in what it is that you're seeking to do, that can give you some pointers and some tips and can say, hey, I've tried this and this may be another alternative or another way that you can go. That person is going to be somebody who, you're going to, you have to do business with people who like, and trust.
Exactly.
So it has to be somebody who's going to be there to provide that honesty and that constructive feedback. But again, most importantly, that will hold you accountable. I won't just say, oh, you don't want to do that. Oh, it's okay. You don't have to do that. Sometimes you want that person to give you that gentle nudge that's going to help you to get to that point you want to get to. Hold you accountable. Give you some actionable items that you can do. We do that with each other, right?
Absolutely. We sure do.
Yes, we do.
You know what really stood out for me? Provide honest feedback. That honesty thing, y'all know the name of my business is Authentically Your Expressions. There's a reason for that. What I'm going to, as your life coach, I'm going to point out the parts of you that you can't see yourself. I only surround myself with people who please tell me the stuff I cannot see myself, because most of us can't see ourselves. Mm-hmm. People like to think that they're perfect and they don't like to hear some criticism at times, but you can't see when you really are doing something that's not working for you. You're over and over making certain decisions and getting the results of those decisions. When you find a mentor, it has to be somebody who can say, when you do this particular thing on a regular basis, you don't think that's keeping you from getting that? If you are cheating on everybody you're in a relationship with, you don't think it's keeping you from marriage? People will come at you wanting the world. And I've been guilty of that myself. There's certain things I just want so much and then didn't realize I wasn't fully in alignment. I was doing the opposite. I thought I was doing the right thing because it was comfortable. It was what I was familiar with. It's what I knew. But once somebody was able to point out, okay, yeah, right there, that thing right there. And sometimes it's not somebody else. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just me and my studies that I do on a regular basis. But when you have that trusted mentor, somebody that can provide honest feedback, that's who I want in my life. And that's what I do with my clients. I am about to lie to you. My title isn't a cheerleader. Right. I'm a coach. I'm not here with no motherfucking pom-poms in a skirt and jumping in this when you done rolled and tucked and fell off the sidelines. That was some bullshit. I'm gonna be the coach. The cheerleaders are out there trying to cheer you, keep you hyped. I'm out here to be like, that was dumb.
Right.
I mean,
you need a new strategy. Right.
That right there did not work. Think about what you just did. You remember that play that we ran like 15 times? That wasn't it. That wasn't the one just now. So how can we do this differently? And that's what you should want when it comes to a trusted mentor, is somebody who can get you back into alignment with what you say you want, not somebody who's trying to tell you what to want. That's not what you do. That's not don't hire a life coach who's telling you what you should want. You get somebody who you can tell what you want from life, and they can give you honest feedback and say, well, these are the things that are hindering you from having that thing.
Right.
Trusted and honest.
I absolutely love that. And it's like you said, you have to make sure that you're picking somebody. You don't want somebody who's always going to agree with everything that you say
Everything
and
you
everything that
said.
you do, or somebody who's going to be combative about everything that you want. You want to find somebody who is going to provide that happy medium, that person who's going to be impartial, that person who's going to look at the situation and look at you and try to assist in helping you to create that harmony. Okay,
Exactly.
because everything is not black and white. Everything is not yes, no. Everything is not up, down. They are think everything to me goes like this.
Yes.
Everything is a way. Everything is a matter of creating that harmony. How are they
Mhm.
helping you to create that music that is your life? Okay, and you want that person to be impartial. You want that person to be able to love you enough or care about you enough to assist you and give you that
Right.
constructive criticism, but you also want that person who is going to be 100% honest and who's going to push you a little bit and say, hey, you can do that. I'm
You-
holding you accountable. You said you were going to do that. Let's go.
I love
Okay,
it.
love it too. All right, moving on.
Okay, I love this one too. Remind yourself about the research. You've got to go in and really understand whatever your goal is. Say there's a certain type of I want to get into stock market. Remind yourself of the research. Keep researching and finding out what that is. Like this one said, one study found that children who had higher self-control became adults who had better physical health, were wealthier, and less likely to be convicted of a criminal offense. Another study found that self discipline was more important than IQ in predicting academic success. You have to remind yourself of the truth that's out here
Mm-hmm,
and how to align to it. I love that they included these particular studies
mm-hmm.
because self discipline is the key. You don't have to be the smartest person in the world when it comes to self discipline. That's not what this is about. You don't
Right.
have to come from money. You don't have to come from the greatest things that are out here. And oh my gosh, I already had a head start. Well, it would be nice for a lot of us to have a head start. But when you don't have that head start, you go do your research. Go find the things that are going to support the journey that you're on. You have to go look that stuff up and be like, okay, the people who have the best success are the ones who did A, B, and C. So let me see how I can implement those into my strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget to do your research. I don't know if I'll ever stop doing research. And this is the truth.
We are forever learning.
Even when I'm doing side jobs and other things that I'm doing, I'm listening to something that's pouring into me about how to be the best life coach, how to make sales, how to do marketing. It's always about the research. Not that I don't have my fun now. I do. But if I want to build an empire as an empress, I can't allow myself to be fed things that aren't going to encourage that.
Right.
Remind yourself of the research.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think about something a dear friend said to me many, many years ago. It says, you learn from your womb to your tomb. There's always something you're today years old learning. There's always something that you can research and find out about that's going to teach you about whatever it is that you're seeking to do. We are in an age of technology, in an information age. There are things at our fingertips. We have to do the work. We have to make sure that we're going out and we're researching and finding out what's going on. I have a girlfriend who just got her doctorate. She just
Mhm.
got her doctorate in March. You know, she is an African American woman. There are less than 4% of African American women that actually hold a
Oh,
doctoral
I
degree.
agree.
Okay,
Mhm.
so that says a lot. Okay, but that also it also reminded her of the struggle, of what was going to happen. All right. I'm sorry. I see G over here. Hey, G, what's up, my friend?
Peace,
Peace
baby.
and love. Peace and love. But it's about finding out. That's going to let you know how difficult it may be for
Yeah,
you to do what it is that you're seeking to do. Do the research and see how many people that look like me are in this field.
come on.
Do the research and find out, and then start tapping into it. Let me see if they have any literature. Let me see if they have anything that may speak to what it is that they've researched, or what it is that they've done, or where it is that they work and what it is that they're doing. We have to be able to research that. We can't go with, we have to look for people who look like us. We have to look for people who may have experiences that are similar to ours, so that way we can see what the challenges may be, so that way we can kind of get a little bit of a clue as to
Yeah.
how difficult it may be or how easy it may be to get into that field because
Yes.
somebody else has already, laid the platform for us.
Yep.
So we have to be able to do
Trailblazers
the
out
work.
here.
We have to
Absolutely.
do the work.
Even for this show alone, me and Kim will go and do our research about whatever topic it is that we're going to talk about that
Mhm.
particular week because we want to make sure we're bringing the best information. We're not trying to act like we know everything,
We don't.
but we want to make sure that we have enough research and knowledge about a topic. One thing y'all not going to hear me out here talking about is wealth, how to develop it. Mm. Am I doing
Okay.
my research? Absolutely. Will I teach it one day? You better fucking believe it. That's coming. However, until I master it, I have no business being out here teaching nobody nothing. Even in the research stages. When I
Right.
became a life coach, I had to do the studying first. I had to study first.
Right. I
I
had to
had
get
to,
certified.
and I had to be the first fruit. I had to take in all the first fruits. I can't go out there and that's me cooking and then giving other people food and I don't even know how it tastes. What?
Right.
What? That doesn't even make any sense because
Right.
now people are going to start having. Now, mind you, everybody's experience is different, right? Everybody can taste the same thing, and some people may say that's too salty, it's too bland. Everybody's gonna have their different experience, but at least I know where the baseline for me as the life coach is. When
Right.
you don't do your research about what it is that you're trying to do when it comes to what you're trying to be more disciplined in, you don't know your own baseline.
Hmm.
You don't know what you do know and what you don't know.
Right.
So you have got to find your baseline. Okay, okay, I know that I want to purchase a home. What do I know about purchasing homes? What I don't know. I need to go find out all the information so I can go in and have the most knowledge and wisdom about making this purchase before stepping out here. Because
Right.
otherwise, you get caught up in something that you have to now unravel and fix. Why am I
Right.
trying to do all that?
Right. Right. I just love what this says again because it says that children had a higher self control. I mean, who had a higher self control became adults. So this just goes to show that even self control, self discipline is something that starts in childhood.
Childhood.
So for
Self.
those of us who are listening, we are adults and still learning how to master self control. It's something that starts in our youth. It's something that we have to,
Yes.
make sure that we're impressing upon our
For
children
children.
because how they're some of the things that they're learning and things that they're grasping and molding themselves into are going to be things that are going to determine how they're going to be as adults.
Yes.
And so, just like I said, this research alone shows us that it's something that happens when we're young, and
Yeah.
we have to continue to work on it to master it because we haven't arrived as adults. We still got a long way to go.
We still got it now. I was so such a blessing to even do to research this about research, because like today when I took my kids, I was telling Kim I took my kids to the library so they could get some books for the summer and stuff like that and sign up for different things. And having my kids, having them in the library and not having to say shh one time was such a big blessing. The self control. There are things that are going on with some children with autism, things like that, that they cannot help it. But when
Right.
your children are considered quote unquote normally functioning, and you could take them into a space and you're teaching them how to control themselves, this is the truth. I'm
Right.
believing from this research, excuse me, that my kids are going to have better health. They're going to be wealthier. They're going to be smarter. My son is going to first grade and they already put him in the talented and gifted program. I've never heard of that before in my life. But it's
Mhm.
the things of learn how to control, take deep breaths. That's one of the things I teach my kids. Slow down, take deep breath. They know how to take the deep.
Oh yes,
You don't. Do you have to respond that way right now?
that's
And,
right.
and them being perfectly honest with you, Kim, I respond. I make them do that so I don't respond crazy first.
Hmm. Hmm. Facts.
But again, first fruit. I know that I'm an old school mama. It will light this whole motherfucking library up if you get to acting crazy. Everybody, I get put out. I already know it. It's who I am. I've done it. I've done it at the fair. Everything's loud at the fair, and I still lit it up. Okay, and
Okay.
everybody paused because Miles is over. He's being a little over the top. However, if I could be more self control,
Right.
I could teach them to be in control. And now I could my prayer is I will see them in better health than myself. I will see them wealthier than myself. And
Right.
ain't nobody around here convicted of criminal offenses, but it's just you'll see a different outcome. But do
Absolutely.
your research and really trust the self discipline, y'all.
Right. And this is part of the hard work too. So they go hand in hand. Love it.
Ooh, child, the hard work.
Love it. Okay. Oh, the next one. Use productive self talk. One of the most powerful self starter statements is do it now. Repeat that phrase throughout the day. Then make it a habit to act whenever you don't feel like doing something. Prompting yourself with this phrase, do it now. You know, I love productive, or in other words, positive self talk. Okay. I get up every day. Like I told you, 5:30 every morning. I
I
get up and
love
I do
you.
my exercise.
Mhm.
Okay. It's in my basement. I call it the 12-step program because I got to take them 12 steps to go down there into that gym to get the work done. And sometimes I get up and I'm like, in the wintertime, sometimes it's a little chilly. I don't want to get out that
Look
bed.
at the bed.
Mm.
That
But
bed
then
feels
I say,
good.
do it now.
Yeah.
And I take my legs, maybe, twist, shake my little feet, make sure that my feet don't fall out from under me. And then I get up and I go and do the work because I know that I have a purpose. When they wake up, you know how they have that saying. They say when you wake up and you put your hand on your heart and you feel that heartbeat, that's purpose. I have a purpose. I know that there is something that I'm supposed to be doing. I have a destination. I have somewhere to be and I have something to do. And
Right.
it's not going to get done if I don't do it now. So I've conditioned myself. It has become a habit for me to
Yeah.
get up and get going. You know, my husband said he says, I don't know how when that, like, he says, you get up before the alarm goes off. Cause I know it's about to go off. And I don't know how 5 minutes before that alarm goes off, I'm up.
Your body wakes up.
Because my body already knows. It's like, all right, it's getting close to that time, or it's that time. Get up and go ahead and be about business.
Yeah.
You know, and that doesn't mean that there aren't some days where you have to where you have run yourself ragged, or you just, everybody's gonna have those days where it's like, not today.
Yeah.
But even that's productive self-talk. Okay, I understand that my body needs this rest. I understand that my body is not going to function at its optimal level. I need to rest. And so I'm going to say, all right, my positive self-talk today is I need to rest my body so that way I can restore and renew myself and be able to do what it is that I need to do.
Exactly.
Sometimes that's the self-talk. It doesn't always have to be something, it says do it now, but doesn't say what to do now.
Right.
It may be sit your behind down. That may be what it's telling you to do.
Now.
Because you're doing too much. Do that now. Take yourself to the doctor because you know something is not feeling right. Your check engine light is on and you're choosing to ignore it. Sometimes that productive self-talk is to go and see about yourself so that way you can see the next day or the next hour. Talk about it.
Listen, I recently did a live on IG, and I think I loaded up some this YouTube page as well. And do it now isn't my productive self-talk in particular, but mine is do something. Do something. Because what I've learned about myself, if I do one thing, I tend to keep going. And you got to find what works for you. Then this is speaking to everyone. You got to find what works for you. Do something works for me. And that's because I am very emotionally led. I don't tend to be logical. I am a very type B personality. I'm not the most structured person. However, what I did learn, so say I say I'm gonna go and wash the dishes. I'm just gonna wash the dishes. If I go in that kitchen and wash the dishes, I'm cleaning counters now all of a sudden. I'm wiping down the front of the cabinets all of a sudden. I'm rearranging something. I'm cleaning out the fridge. I noticed that once I get started with doing that one thing,
right,
I don't overwhelm myself with the thoughts of everything. Because if I overwhelm myself with all the thoughts, I won't do nothing.
right.
And that's just my truth. I've learned to honor myself and my own truth and do what works for me. So if I say fold the clothes, now all of a sudden I'm making sure all the winter clothes are out the closet, and I'm hanging up the summer clothes, and I'm doing a bunch of different things just because now my body is moving. But that's productive. And also on top of use productive self-talk, this is where we bring in our affirmations. You have to affirm yourself. There's that part of the subconscious that all of us have that wants to remind you of things that people told you about you, that you were lazy, that you weren't good enough, that you weren't pretty enough, that you ain't never gonna have nothing, that you ain't gonna do this, you weren't smart. All these different things that have been told, they're there. And even if somebody else didn't implant it, you thought it just by one mistake you made in a situation. You have to use the productive self-talk. Look at how she's looking in the mirror in this picture.
Right.
My most favorite affirmation is I am enough.
Right.
That one shifted my life. And not realizing it was going to do it. I just said it because I saw it in a book or something I was reading. And I was like, I am enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wait the fuck a minute. I am enough. But I am. And that's what I kept saying. I was like, but why would I think I wasn't? And I had to, do my shadow work and figure out that moment where that came to me, or maybe moments where I kind of felt like I wasn't enough. And I had to go back to that space and be like, no, you was enough then.
Right.
They just didn't let you know that you were. And guess what? They don't have to now. You gonna let yourself know.
Right.
Little Sheronda, come here. Big hug, girl.
Right.
Big hugs. You were enough then. You're enough now. Let's go get it done. Productive self-talk will help you be so much more self-disciplined because there's nobody else affirming you.
I love it.
It's you affirming you.
I love it. I love it. And what that reminds me of, Sharonda, is the agreements. It's what we agree to. If we, I got the book, sitting right over here somewhere. I usually have it right within arm's reach. But the whole thing of it is just being able.
Yeah.
You are.
Peace,
Who
TK.
you say you are. You're who you say you are. And we have to be so careful not to agree to something that we're not just because someone says that we're that thing, and we're not.
Mm-mm.
We have to be able to reach within ourselves. The one thing I love about Google and things like that, when it does the little memories, it will remind you of things that were going on in your life or things that you may have celebrated.
Yes.
And it gives you an opportunity to go back and say, okay, well, what was going on in my life? What was I doing then? I see joy in my face, or I see excitement. What was what was going on during that time?
Yes.
What was it that was motivating me? What was it that was causing me or prompting me to want to do more or to do better? And sometimes we have to reach deep. Sometimes we have to go back, and recall some of those things. So that way we can pull those things out and be that, that person that cheers our own selves. Like you said, we have to speak over ourselves, like the song says. Speak over yourself, encourage yourself.
Yes.
What are some buzzwords? Like you said, I am enough.
Yeah.
What are some things that get you going?
Yeah.
Is it a song? Sometimes it may be that put on that song in the morning and just be like, oh, all right, what's your theme song?
Right.
Okay. And then use that to be something that motivates you.
I just told people Dangerously in Love by Beyonce. Sing it to yourself in the mirror. It's a love song, but sing it to yourself and it will change your life. Dangerously in Love is one of those powerful things. For me, and I'm kind of going on a slight tangent, Kim.
Go ahead.
I got to get
your way.
We got a little time.
We did.
I'm going on a slight tangent. For me, growing up in Christianity, because you're not taught self-love in the church for the most part, because everything's just about loving Jesus, as if somehow loving yourself would diminish, I guess, that love for Christ or something like that. One of my favorite things that we learned at Truth and Light was the fact being able to interpret the Bible as for what was going on during those times, then using that to preach a sermon. That's something me and Kim went through classes for, being able to determine Paul's writing letters to these particular churches, because that's what was going on at that particular time in history. Mm-hmm. How can we use what he was trying to teach them for now versus people directly pulling that and using it to admonish you for being who you are? There's many reasons why many things were written during that time. Like they'll use the thing of women shouldn't preach in church. That was written to one church in the New Testament women shouldn't preach because the women wouldn't shut the fuck up. They were just doing too much in the church. They were in there gossiping, and they called themselves preaching. They were taking over the men. It was just way too much. So he had to be like, these women need to step back. They can't preach because this is what they're doing to the word of God. I love that because now that I understand it that way, I can be more productive about my self-love and my own particular self-talk. It's hard for me to attend churches because the majority of churches teach that the second way I was describing, which is I'm going to pull what they said about tithes and I'm going to make y'all feel guilty for not paying tithes. But then when you actually do the research, who actually had to pay the tithes weren't the people who were attending. I ain't going to get into it too much. But once I understood who I am and how I could look at this Bible and be able to encourage myself by the stories of Joseph, by the stories of Jonah and everybody else. My mind is moving too fast. By being able to encourage myself by what they went through. Not I'm them, but now I get to love myself and encourage myself so I can become more disciplined. I became a rebel because of the church a lot of times because it didn't feel like I was all wrong. For everything that was being taught, I was wrong for God. I was wrong for Christ, and I was wrong for the church. How I looked, how I showed up, what I wore, if I didn't have enough money, everything felt absolutely wrong. Once I understood it from a different perspective, it made me love God more. Right. It made me love Christ more. I have a Christ mind relationship versus just a Christian, I guess, belief that Jesus died for a reason, but he taught ultimately love. Once I studied Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John and understood love, I loved me more. All of a sudden I showed up and I could be more productive. I could say, do it now. I could say, do something now because you're worth it. But before then, I thought I wasn't shit. Tangent.
Yeah. No, but one that definitely makes sense because we have to be in the space of being able to do when I'm thinking about all of that we've talked about so far, and it's just a matter of, like I said, doing the research. It's a matter of doing the hard work, and that's going to really require us to do just what this young lady is doing in this picture, taking a good hard look at ourselves in the mirror. And not looking at what's going on behind ourselves in the mirror, but looking at ourselves, looking within and being able to reach in deep and then be able to say, okay, there's more going on. What's going on behind my eyes? What's going on behind that smile?
Yes.
That she's reaching out and touching. She's connecting with herself. In this picture.
Why would God not want us to connect with ourselves when he gave us a whole body?
Right. And the whole point of it is that we, the Bible says he made us in his image.
His own image.
And so what are we pouring into ourselves? His Holy Spirit was left within us. Okay, so that's what's inside of us. And how is that being projected outside of us? Not only for others, but for us first.
Yeah.
And so it's just there's so much there when you start talking about going deep. Even when you start talking about reading the scriptures, when I do my little Tuesdays and I give a scripture, one thing that I always say at the end is make sure that you read what was going on before and after this particular verse was written, so that way you have an understanding.
You have an understanding.
You want to take that deeper dive so you can find out what was going on.
Yeah.
I love what's called an expository preacher. And that's the person who really breaks it down, who doesn't just sit there and name it and claim it and talk about, you can have that car, you can have that house, you can have them, that airplane, you can have this, that, and the third. Somebody who's going to give me the history and the background so I can see how to apply it to my life.
Yes.
Okay. And to understand that even when we talk about the scriptures, there were certain ones that were chosen to be in the Bible. There were certain ones that were canonized and certain ones that were not. So there's so much more to life just in general, where we have to do the work. We have to do the research. We have to explore so that way we understand.
Yep.
Again, we want to respond to the things that are going on around us out of wisdom,
Yes.
not react out of ignorance or react out of the fact that we're frustrated.
Yeah.
We have to do the work. We have to ask the questions. We have to have people like mentors around us who are
Mhm.
going to, you know, give us that guidance where we need it.
Yes.
Because we don't know everything, but
Kim,
we have to get to that space where we're doing the work. Yes, ma'am.
I'm a ding ding. I
Yes,
just realized we both got trees behind us.
we do. We do.
You knew that already?
Yes. It's about growth. It's about growth. It's about
Tree of
establishing
life.
roots.
The tree of life.
The tree of life. It's about roots. It's about planting ourselves firmly so that way when things are coming at us, it may sway us to the left or to the right, but it's not going to break
It's
us.
not going to uproot. And that's what the self discipline is so important for. Is
Mhm.
when you're planting those seeds,
Right. You're establishing that root. And
you're
what's watering
establishing
you? What's feeding you?
what's
What's
feeding you.
feeding you to make you stronger?
And this is one of them.
Right.
Productive self talk. I love it.
Love it. All right.
Full circle.
Much. Yes, we did. Ah, yes.
This is me.
I think it's you.
Okay. Practice exercising your self discipline muscle. Yes. I've been doing so good at this. I'm so proud of myself. Just like you can strengthen your arms by lifting weights, you can strengthen your self discipline muscle with regular practice. Practice small acts of effort and self discipline every single day. This is so powerful. So powerful. I remember when I first started writing books. Me and Kim, I think, did we start writing the same? No, you were already written before I started writing.
Mhm.
But I remember when I first started writing, I was like, write for 5 minutes a day. Just write for 5 minutes.
Mhm.
Sounds like a short time, but when you're writing a book, that's good. That is really good to because you've gotten started. Then
Right.
all of a sudden, that muscle will want to build to 10 minutes per day. Then all of a sudden, you're writing 30. Now you're writing full chapters. You're able to sit down for hours upon hours and write. Kim, no, I was pushing books out like crazy at
Yes.
one point
Yes,
because I
ma'am.
had just strengthening that self-discipline muscle. I made that particular time of day specific for writing books. And so all it takes is a little bit. Again, actionable steps. Actionable. The ones that can be actually done. People will give them this massive thing. I'm going to lose 20 pounds in 1 month. I'm not saying you can't. However, if you just now getting back to the gym, don't even try to look at the pounds right now. Do something more actionable. I'm going to go to the gym for 15 minutes. Or I'm going to work out on the bike, for 5 minutes. Now that you're in there, then you might be like, okay, I'm gonna move to the treadmill. I'm gonna move to some weights. But the more that you actually just give yourself an actionable small step, that muscle's being built. Period.
Right.
As long as this is actionable, as long as you're taking action and doing the small acts of effort, as it says right here, you will build the muscle. Then
Yes,
after a while, and Kim reminds me of this all the time, it becomes a habit. Now it's just a
that's
part
it.
of what you do.
That's
And,
it.
and just like I grew when I was in high school, I started lifting weights. I wanted to take weight class. I don't know. It was on me, one other girl. I don't know. But I remember when we first started, you start with the bar. I think the bar might have
Mhm.
been like 20 pounds. We
Mhm.
doing, lifts, 20 pounds, doing leg presses and stuff. Then all of a sudden it feels too light. Now you're putting
Right.
some more on there. Now you
Right.
put, but when it becomes so light, it's because it's become a natural part of your body and the
Right.
muscle is actually becoming stronger and stronger.
Right. Right. Well, you know how it is. It's all about habit. It's
Mhm.
all about creating habits. You're creating things that are going to become so a part of your normal routine that it's like it becomes second nature. And
Yes.
so that's what it's like when you're exercising that self-discipline muscle because you're doing it and you've identified what it is that works for you. And so it becomes your go-to.
Yes.
That's kind of what I want to say. When you think about that this self-discipline muscle, it becomes your go-to. When
Go
certain things are going on, that's the thing that you go to. I
see.
know that if a certain thing happens, I'm going to go to this particular word of God. That's going to help me.
Yes.
Or I know if I'm not feeling well or if I'm feeling dehydrated, I know that I am big on drinking a lot of water. If
Yeah,
I know I haven't gotten a lot of water today, I'm like, okay, that's what I need to do. I start immediately. I know what I need to do to course correct.
to course
I
correct.
know if I'm eating and something is bothering my stomach, I'm saying, oh, okay, that's something that's not working for me. I've identified certain things in my life, and now I know what that go to is
Hmm.
if I ever come up against that thing.
Yeah,
And I'm exercising that muscle because every time that happens, and I use that as a technique to help me to get through whatever it is, and I see that it's successful. I know that that's something that I can continue to do, and I'm going to continue to flex that muscle. So I know when that happens again, you know, I know that that's something that I can go to. And if it doesn't start working for me, then I know it's time for me to move on and to advance to something else because it's about growth.
it's about growth.
That's what we were talking about with these trees back here.
Yeah.
It's about growth. We just because the roots have been established doesn't mean that it's not it's unshakable.
Yes.
The shaking is going to come, but you're not going to be so inclined to fall over
To
as easily.
fall.
It's going to take a lot
Yeah.
to uproot you
Yeah.
when you've laid that foundation and you've made it strong. And so, like you said, it's all about continuing to strengthen those things. Find those things that build us up, not
Exactly.
those things that take us down. Be willing to stand. Because guess what? When people are throwing things at you and you're standing, guess what happens? It's going to hit you and it's going to fall off.
Yes.
But if you're laying down and stuff is going over you, it's going to bury you.
It's gonna bury you.
So stand,
Yeah.
stand. So that whatever comes at you is not going to stick. It's just going to slide down. Lay
Yes.
down if you want to. You'll find yourself 6 feet under.
Yes. Come on.
Don't do it. Stand.
The
Okay.
reason this conversation is so important is because so many of us, and this is true, and especially I think right in that millennial, right crossing from Gen X into millennials, and they
Mhm.
start to raise kids too. Jesus, people, they all of a sudden everybody wants to be comfortable.
Right.
Anything that is too much pressure, we don't want to do. It's like it's just too hard, so I don't feel like I should do, or it makes me uncomfortable, so I shouldn't have to do it. I should do the things that makes me feel good. And life is like, fuck you. Life does not care about how comfortable you want to be because Georgia Power is going to want their money.
Right.
That car note, they want their money. The gas bill, the light bill, the
Right.
rent people all want, or you just don't have it. And I see a lot of people choose, I live in Atlanta, so many people choose homelessness. For some it's not a choice, but so many people, I watch it all day long when I'm out in these streets of people who I know are just as healthy as I am. Maybe not mentally, because why
Mhm.
choose that? But you could do something. But the choice is, I don't like being too uncomfortable, and that's something I've had to push myself with. Maybe not to the discomfort of being homeless, because no, but to the discomfort of I want more.
Right.
I want more for life. I want more health. I want more vibrancy. I want more joy. I want more peace. I want more financial blessings. And that requires us to push ourselves to a level we've never been in before.
Mhm.
And you have to be uncomfortable because you've never been there before. Because
That's
you've
it.
never been there before. So it's going to make it uncomfortable. The first time you visit anywhere, do anything, you're going to have a little bit of, what's the
Apprehension. Like,
apprehension, like what am I doing?
I
First time
know.
you try to play piano, the first time you do anything, there's going to be a level of discomfort, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. But
Right.
once you establish the importance of self discipline for yourself, you can rock anything out.
That's it. That's it. Like you said, it starts from within, and it starts with us, having the ability to look at ourselves in the mirror. I'm going to keep going back to that one. Looking at ourselves in the mirror and saying, okay, what is it that I want for me? What is it that I'm seeing? What is it that I see when I look in my own eyes? Because whatever you're seeing in your own eyes, think that the person who is looking into your eyes is seeing the same thing.
See?
When you look in the mirror, what is it that your face is
Yes.
saying to you?
Hmm.
What is it that your eyes do you see sadness in your own eyes?
See?
And do you think that no one else sees it?
See?
When you look in the mirror, is it a grimace on your face or are you smiling? Do you like what you see?
Period.
And if you don't like what you see, then think about, what are you telling others?
Yeah.
Are you telling others that they shouldn't like what they see either? It starts from within. Self. That's why it starts with the word self discipline, self care, self love. All of them start with the word self because it's starting from within. And so we have to be able to look at ourselves. We have to be able to say, okay, what is it that I need to cope, to
Yeah.
create our peaceful existence? What is it that I need to do that's going to help? Not a band aid, not a temporary fix, but what is something that I can do long term that's going to bring me to a space of peace?
Yeah.
My goal is to have peace.
Right.
And that's a
Yeah.
challenge, it's a challenge. We're not saying that it's something that's easy, but there are definitely small, actionable steps that we can start to do that create habits that are going to move us to that space of being able to cope.
Absolutely.
This one was
Absolutely.
another, this was another good one,
I
my
want to
friend.
say I'm so excited. We got a part 3 coming up next week, y'all. That will end this particular series of the art of self-discipline. Thank you for everyone who did join us tonight. If you join us later, go ahead and click share, click like, turn on the notifications. Kim, what we finna do?
We've been roll up out of here because we got places to go and things to do, where everybody's gearing up. Tomorrow is July 1st. The
First,
first day, we are going into the 7th month
the
of the year,
seventh month.
y'all. What is happening? All right. Time waits for no one. Time has
Golly.
time has not stood still. Time is moving. I feel like we just said Happy New Year. I feel like we were just celebrating our birthdays,
Just
and here it is in
celebrated
May,
my
and here it
birthday.
is July. We're like, what? What?
These kids
But
gonna be back at school in a minute. Traffic gonna be worse
oh,
because of the buses and
looking
people
forward to
going, the
that.
teachers going back to.
I'm not
I've been
looking forward
enjoying
to
this
that.
summer traffic. I really have.
Yes,
But
let
thank
us
you,
have
Kim,
that.
for joining me as always. I just want to say I
Yeah.
love you so much for being here with me,
I love you too,
doing this
darling.
with me.
Yes, it's all about sharing space. And hopefully, like I said, if y'all have any comments, like, follow, share, subscribe, follow our YouTube channels down here at the bottom of the screen. Make sure that you keep in touch. Let us know what's going on. Let us know your heart. Let us know how you're dealing with self discipline. How is it working for you? All
Yeah.
right. All right. So until we see you guys the next time, be safe. Stay hydrated. It's hot out there. Stay hydrated. All right. That's all I'm going to say. Drink your water. All right, guys. Until we see you next time. Peace.